I'm Dr. S.K. Jha. I've been teaching international relations for last 28 years in different institutes. This subject, international relation, is crucial for your success in civil services. It is crucial for your success in civil services primarily because of the three factors. One important factor is that you roughly get a question about 90 to 110 marks from this portion. And the second important point is not only the mains examination, but also there will be some topics from international relations like globalization or impact of globalization even in your essay paper. And thirdly, if you have made it to the mains and if you are going to appear for the interview, then the third important point so far as IR is concerned is that there will be some questions in your interview definitely from international relations. So these are three crucial points. So whether you have any interest in international relations or not, you need to cultivate your interest in this, because if civil services is your goal, then you cannot do it without having a control over this paper. So this is a very, very important component of paper 2. And there are certain ways of preparing for this. First important thing is that you need to grasp the syllabus. When I'm talking about the syllabus of international relation, it will consist just of 3 to 4 lines. But just 3 to 4 lines of the syllabus is having a very, very wider connotation. It talks about India's relationship with its neighboring countries. Then it talks about India's relationship with the major powers of the world like China, US, Russia, Japan. Then it talks about India's relationship with the different regional groupings. You have like BRICS. BRICS is the one, then SAARC is the another, European Union is the third. So there are several regional groupings and it talks about India's relationship with them. Then again your syllabus also talks about India's relationship with the different organizations and institutions, like for example we have India's relationship with the ASEAN, India's relationship with the SAARC, India's relationship with the different regions, like for example we have India's relationship with the Southeast Asia, India's relationship with the West Asia, India's relationship with the African countries. So the syllabus looks like very small, but it is having a very, very broader area that you need to cover. Then another important point when we keep in mind the syllabus is the diaspora. Diaspora means linking India's diaspora policy with the foreign policy, making diaspora as a tool for achieving foreign policy objectives. What are the problems of diasporas? Diaspora means people of the Indian origin living in different parts of the world. What are their problems? What efforts government has made so far in resolving their issues, and not only resolving their issues, what steps government has taken to draw them into the Indian economy, taking their contribution, taking their remittances, and that ultimately helps India in strengthening its economy. So it is like diplomacy for economy and economy for diplomacy. So this is a very important area so far as the diaspora policy is concerned. This syllabus, when you talk about the international relation, it is one is the static portion, then there is a dynamic portion. Dynamic portion means there are parts of the syllabus which go on changing. See, India's foreign policy is basically a policy of continuity and change. For example, we started with the policy of non-alignment. Now we are talking about the multi-alignment. We started with a policy, what we call the hyphenated foreign policy. Like for example, putting up a difference between Palestine and Israel, and now we have dehyphenated. Dehyphenated means interest of the country is paramount. So even if it means compromising the relationship with the country, what is important for us is the very fact that interest of the country is of paramount importance. So we would like to maintain good relationship with both Israel as well as the Palestine. Again, this means making a balance between, for example, Russia and the US. We have a close understanding with the US, we have the strategic alliance with the US, but at the same time we are also buying S-400 missiles from Russia. So how to maintain a balance between Russia and US, that is another important point that we study so far as the foreign policy of India is concerned. Then we need to also concentrate on, when we talk about the IR, about the major foreign policy problems for India. Major foreign policy problems for India means there are the three core foreign policy problems. For example, since 1947, Pakistan continues to be a major foreign policy problem for India. Again, China, managing relations with China is the second important problem. Third, despite the fact that India has done a lot for its neighboring countries, but unfortunately we are not able to manage the relationship with our neighboring countries. Our relationship with many of our neighboring countries, including Nepal, Sri Lanka, sometimes Maldives. This is except Bhutan. We are having problems with almost all neighborhood countries. So the neighborhood first policy of India, and then linking it with the extended neighborhood policy, means that is the third important problem so far as India's foreign policy is concerned, after Pakistan and China. So what are we doing? What efforts is made by the government in resolving those issues? So that also has to be taken care of. Then the other important point, how we prepare for international relation is the existing balance of power position in the world. What is the existing balance of power position in the world? The relationship between Russia and China, or the relationship between US and China, and its possible impact on India. Because this is not simply a bilateral relationship that we study the bilateral relationship with the impact of multilateralism today. So that is also to be taken into consideration. Then you always need to relate your preparation, with the current happenings in the world. Current happening means, for example, I would give some example. Say there is a trade war between China and the US and its possible impact on India. Again, there is some crisis in the Russia and the US relationship on the issue of what is known as the US threat to withdraw from the missiles treaty. What is its possible consequence on India? Again, then US's policy on Iran is going to change, and maybe the US has imposed some sanctions that any country, if it imports oil from Iran, it will suffer. It will have a repercussion on. It will have a U.S. repercussion on the policy of that country. So, meaning thereby, how to manage a balance. What India should be doing in such a position when U.S. wants India to withdraw from importing oil from Iran. Putting some restriction on that. So, how are we going to manage that? What are our policies? So, these are the current issues that you need to have. That you need to prepare thoroughly. And finally, I'll be talking about how to prepare for this. How to prepare for this. To preparing for this paper, that you need to understand the 4 C's of international relation: convergence, cooperation, competition, and conflict. Where do we converge, which leads to cooperation? Where do we compete? For example, India and China competing in South China Sea, India and China competing in African market. So India and China competing again in India's neighboring countries. So where do we compete? Converge, cooperate, and compete, and then finally where our relationships are conflictual, where our interests conflict. So these are the 4 bases that you need to keep in mind when you study India's foreign policy or India's relationship with any other country. So far as the resources are concerned, for those people who do not have any background in international relation, I will advise them to start from the basic NCERT. Now, the first book, for example, I'll be talking about is the Politics in India Since Independence, Chapter 4. This is the first thing. Chapter 4 means it talks about India's foreign policy. Then another book, class 12 book, is the Contemporary World 12th book. So it again talks about India's foreign policy, but the majority of the things that you will find in this is the static portion, whatever all has happened. That will provide you the base for understanding the contemporary world politics. Then there is a book by Shashi Tharoor, Pax Indica. You can read it like a novel. You will develop a great understanding about international relation and foreign policy if you go through this book, a good book. Then I have my own book, The second, I've already published 2 editions of the book, India and the World, And this book primarily covers the entire syllabus of international relations. So that will also be of great help, But more important thing, apart from the books that you study, what is more important is the contemporary issues. Majority of the questions that will be asked on this will be on the contemporary issues. Contemporary issues means what is happening today. For example, India is signing some treaty with some country, that is of current. Then again, India buying weapons, say from Israel. India buying weapons. India diversifying its import basket. Earlier we are buying only from Russians. Now we are primarily buying from Israel. We have started buying from US. We have started buying from France and other countries. So why there is diversification in India's basket? What are the reasons for it? So contemporary issues are very important, like the ongoing crisis in the world regarding the trade war, the environmental issues. These are all current issues. Now, to prepare for the current issues, what you need to do is that you need to, I will be referring one important newspaper, and that will be the Indian Express, because it is very balanced, not highly critical about the government policies. It's the balanced newspaper. So whatever articles you find, you come across about international relation, what you need to do is that you don't need to keep a clipping of that. What you are required to do is, most importantly, that you need to prepare a brief synopsis or prepare a brief note on whatever articles you have read. For example, there will be some article on India's policy in Russia, or India's relationship with the USA, or the trade war and its impact on India. So what you will be doing is that you will be preparing a brief note of what you have read. That I will suggest not only for international relations but for almost all the subjects, that you should prepare a separate notebook for almost all your subjects. For example, whether it is a polity or international relation or internal security. So if you come across any article relevant to your syllabus, just start preparing a brief note out of the newspaper article. This will also develop, apart from enhancing and boosting up your knowledge and keeping you up to date, this will also improve your writing skill, because this examination is also about presentation. You may be knowing a lot, but how do you present the things? That's again very, very important. So go through the newspaper thoroughly. Any articles you find you have come across related to IR, just prepare a brief note. You need to be absolutely up to date, thorough, relating the static portion with the dynamic portion, the contemporary happenings. That is again very important. Thank you.